webinar is Champaran Satyagraha and issues of the village commons, cultural linguistic dimensions, and imprint on Kheda Satyagraha. As the title itself suggests, that the three aspects are autonomous in their own way and have potential for independent study. But my sole purpose in including the three aspects is just to provide an outline of discourses, parallel discourses, which were running to the macro narrative of the Champaran Satyagraha centered around indigo. In fact, today we shall be going beyond indigo question and focus on the sub-narrative during the Champaran Satyagraha, which are even to some extent relevant in our times also. I would be brief, and the time constraint I am aware. So I was dividing the presentation in three parts, A, B, and C. The first I take up the issue of village common and community rights aspects, and I just underlined how they were undermined and legitimized. Legitimation of this process was also there by the planters with the cohort of the local power structure, district level power structure or subdivision level power structure, colonial power structure. And also I will touch upon the response of the Champaran Agrarian Committee to this issue. Now, coming to common property resources, commonly known as CPRs, as usual in a rural society, comprise of ponds, grazing grounds, trees grown on rayati lands, and free access to the irrigation water. Apart from it, the community bestows a special right to some particular caste of the community in lieu of the services which they render to the village community. Now, in this scenario, I first touch how they were imposed upon. First was the land hunger of the planters, and out of this greed, land greed, they were converting large areas of which included grazing grounds also and rayati lands also into Jirat lands. Jirat lands are referred to the privately owned lands of the planters. As you know, the rayats were under obligation to grow 3 kattas of land for indigo in their rayati land. There they were converting large chunks to their own private land. That was called Jirat land. And they used by the production was done by the hired labor or even beggars, the forced labor. Thus, this fast-paced expansion, really it was a very fast-paced. Records even suggest that there was massive migration to Nepal Tarai on account of this expansion, appropriation of the lands, rayati land. This led to the appropriation of grazing land for conversion into Jirat land. Second, now the Kotis has their own, for this Jirat land, their own clause, auction. So besides appropriating this land, they also reserved some land, a big chunk of land for grazing grounds for their own cattle. I have put a notice to supplement this trend, just one notice from Sahib Bahadur of Dhokraha. They were known as Sahib Bahadur in local parliament, without any title given by the colonial state. Self-acquired title, I would say. Bahadur of Dhokraha, which says, it is addressed to the, I quote, underquote, to the tenants of Dhokraha. Whereas, underquote, the party in the village, party is the fallow land. Dhokraha will be reserved for pasturage of the cattle of Koti, and notice is given to you to stop grazing of this land. Unquote. Now, this was a blatant, blatant of the court governing the common grazing ground in the Champaran. The same case was with the ponds. The ponds, although were contiguous, but planters claimed that since the area itself has been leased to them by the Betia state, the rights over ponds village ponds, came automatic to them with the lease itself. Although in the lease it was not mentioned, because the native Raja which conferred the lease must have been pretty aware in keeping this vague, as they knew that this is a common property. Now, this right which they claimed was strongly buttressed by the Trespass Act. Now, they tried to stop the riot legally. And I am not entering in the court domain because time is limited, how the courts help them, But the cattle trespass was one of the most common cases in the local court. Trespassing in the grazing ground, which they had self-reserved, ignoring the traditional rights. Trespassing in the ponds, which they have self-reserved without any law and without any precedent. The same logic of lease was applied again in the related to the timber, trees grown in the Rayati land. By the trees, Rayats used the fruits, fuel, and timber. Now they wanted share in both the products. They said, no, this is the leased land by Betia said to me, and the trees are also mine. So you have to part with the mangoes, especially mangoes, they were really particular. You have baya ada de do. And the timber, half of the timber. Even for fuel purposes, they had to seek permission from the Gumasters, and naturally for the permission they needed some bribe. These how they legitimize this control over timber, the forest, small petty forest, village forest, I must to be accurate. They said we don't put brake on it, the whole area will be denuded. No, logic was very fine, but the actual was, they wanted a share. They were not concerned with the denudation or environmental dimension of the whole thing. Now I am coming to another community right which was infringed. It is the Charsa Mahal. Charsa Mahal was referred to a traditional right of a particular Dalit caste, especially the Chamar, over the skin and hide of the dead animal. In lieu of the services they rendered to the village, such as village communities, such as providing shoes, their wife working as midwife, and the use of their baja, the musical instrument, during the festival and marriage ceremony. The control over these hides were given to the owner, traditionally given to the owner and even the local jamindar to the this particular Dalit caste. And it was their sole source of livelihood because, they had not access to land. Rather, I was surprised, in my work I was surprised that this was an issue where large number of Dalit people came before Gandhi also, and more so before the inquiry committee also. Two of the persons who gave written submission to the inquiry commission are Bibu Chamar and Hargan Chamar. They say this was our right since time immemorial. Now we have been deprived of this right. And the reason they are not telling, but they are telling there is a deprivation. I would go slightly touch the reason also. The hides had become a, I must say, a very commercial commodity. because the trade, international trade in hides, especially from export from India to Europe, had increased phenomenally. And it was a prized commodity now. It was facing huge international market, European market, as European market. It was exported from Calcutta, carried from warehouses in Bihar. So the control of the planters, behind all this control, there is one more thing which I have to emphasize, that when their income from indigo was declining on account of the introduction of artificial dye, they had no option but to control other resources which were available in the countryside. And they constituted the timber, the Charsa Mahal, hide, they constituted the resources which they could further enhance their declining fortune. All these issues were raised before the inquiry committee also, Champaran Agrarian Inquiry Committee, and by and large, in fact, the committee took a lenient view of the Rayat argument. I shall not go into the detail of the report because of paucity of the time, but they tried to be a midway solution that no, the traditional rights of the Rayat should be given, of course, with certain conditions they attach, so that it may not lead to denudation of forest and other negativity. Now coming to part B. I'm going a bit fast. The focus on the cultural linguistic dimension. Now, interestingly, two debates, one regarding Gandhi's diet, dress, and Hindi language. They had, to me, as a student of history, in the public domain, it was Gandhi brought this issue. And it was well covered by the newspapers, Indian own newspapers and native newspapers, everywhere. I quote, there was one planter, Mr. W.H. Irwin, who wrote a letter to the pioneer, newspaper pioneer. Incidentally, pioneer was started by a planter also, and it was much out and out support of the planters' cause during the Champaran. I must underline this fact. On 21st June, it published a letter by Mr. W.H. Irwin. But from that, other thing, he said, this man who once wore hats, man who once wore shoes, and totally was adopted Western lifestyle and dress, to suit wood bala army, what you can tell, common parlance, now goes half naked, does not wear shoes, and the sole purpose, according to him, is to produce an effect on the Rayat of Champaran that he just said. Now, there was Englishman, while reproducing this letter, the title is interesting. I'd like to quote, the theatrical Mr. Gandhi, Cologne, goes shoeless among the Rayat. I repeat, the theatrical Mr. Gandhi goes shoeless among the Rayat. Now this itself shows Englishman was another supporter of planters, like Pioneer newspaper. There's a wide uproar in Indian-owned newspapers and various native newspapers also. And they attacked in many ways, which I don't have time to go into. But what Gandhi's reply was, I would briefly touch. Now, Gandhi said, what I am wearing today is the dress which I first wore in the Kathiawadi court, which I appeared in 21 years ago. He said, yes, I did wear foreign clothes, no doubt. But after my woe of taking Swadeshi, I have switched over to the Indian dress, and that too it is handmade. That's special to me. Further he says in the reply, they were covered in all newspapers, in the English, wide coverage of Champaran Satyagraha. I was surprised while doing the work on it. Then he says, now I realize that I should not blindly copy the diet and dress of the Western, but rather I should adopt the Indian dress suited to the tradition and the climate of it. In fact, I would say my contention is it was not issue of dress only, but it went far beyond it. It was a contest of the Gandhi was contesting the cultural hegemony of the colonial power, which is further reflected in the language issue, which I am taking very brief, because it is a well-covered area. Or one evening, while walking with his co-workers in Champaran, Gandhi said to them that it does not look proper that we should talk in English among each other. So why can't we start talking in Hindi? This is in the autobiography of Ramnami Prasad, Chapni Aur Kuch Desh Ki. I have taken this. Then there is the memoirs of J.V. Kriplani also. When J.V. Kriplani was asked to go to the school to teach there, J.V. Kriplani said, I don't know Hindi. Gandhi chided him, you have been in Bihar for such a long time. And when I came, you said, I don't know anything about Champaran. Now you are telling you don't know about Hindi. Kriplani bemoaned. This reflects the ideal typical mindset of the educated middle class, the time, who was in his own world, detached from the outside world. Rather say it in an own virtual world, detached from the real world. So what Ramnami Prasad says, कि टूटी फूटी हिंदी में गांधी ने बात करना शुरू, started in broken Hindi as a medium of communication between the co-workers. But one thing surprised me, that this thing was, they were talking in sometime in April or May 17. In October 1917, Gandhi presided over the annual conference of Bihar Students Association. I was surprised to know that Gandhi said I should be allowed to speak in Hindi. How much time has lapsed? I think May, June, July, August, September, 6 months or 7 months maximum. And he read the entire speech in Hindi. It is October, date I have forgotten, October 1917. And he was learning Hindi in May, started learning Hindi in May 19. But not only he read the whole thing in Hindi, but he ridiculed his predecessors who presided over the meeting. It was 7th or 8th, I suppose. That rather than issues which he told the students, that rather than the issues which they should address to you, most of them seem to be bombarding you with heavy language, English. What did you understand from them? They were speaking and they were understanding, or few others who were sitting on they were understanding. What's the purpose of this meeting? What's the purpose of this speech? If I cannot connect with my audience, what is the purpose of it? So I have taken effort to speak in Hindi to you so that I can easily connect with you. That was great to know. Now I think his role in emphasizing Hindustani, propagating Hindi in South Bihar is a well-trodden area. I don't have time or I want to emphasize here, but my contention here is that Gandhi's concern for a linked language, Hindi as a linked language and national language, was definitely was definitely stemmed out of experiences in Champaran as he faced the practical linguistic difficulties in 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 talking, in communicating with the mass. This is, I can this point, sir. I think 5 minutes or 10 minutes are left. I will conclude within time. The last aspect to the presentation relates to the Champaran imprint on Kheda Satyagraha. Kheda Satyagraha, in fact, I don't say, the contemporary newspapers themselves were saying that it is a extension of Champaran Satyagraha because the timing was same, the leader was same, and issues were same, almost same. It's not Tinkatia, it was the Rayat issue, rent issue of the Kheda. So there were various similarities between Champaran and Satyagraha. I don't say, I will speak what the newspapers are referring to. Yet, in all the newspapers, definitely they were viewing as an extension of Champaran Satyagraha. In fact, Champaran Satyagraha has become a metaphor. It was rather a making of metaphor, for the fight of the meek and humble Rayat. It meant Champaran Satyagraha meant their fight. They assumed a metaphorical character, Champaran Satyagraha term. But Amrit Bazar Patrika, I date on 23rd April 1918, that the Kheda's fight without weapons closely resembles Champaran Satyagraha. Again, the same paper wrote that the bogey of outside influence is being raised in Kheda like Champaran. It is important here to add that Gandhi was first asked by the commissioner or the secretary of the Planters Association, the Art Planters Association. But who are you to come to Champaran? You are an outsider. What right you have to come to Champaran and demand for an inquiry into the Rayat cause? This was, Gandhi was slightly unnerved by this question. What was his locus standi there? What he did instantly, he wrote a letter to 5 public men of Muzaffarpur, who were some of them were with him in Champaran and some were in Muzaffarpur, to write a letter regarding what they had requested orally to him. 5 public men of Muzaffarpur wrote a letter to Gandhi that, Mr. Gandhi, we have invited you here to conduct an inquiry on the spot, and you are an impartial person, as you have shown in South Africa. So we have firm belief in your inquiry. This provided the legitimacy, and Gandhi sent this letter to the commissioner that, look, this is my invitation letter, to be exact, to come to Champaran. Now, this whole, again, issue was being raised in Kheda also, to bhai, who is Gandhi, to intervene in the Rayat issue. What right he has? Because he has become successful in South Africa and successful in Champaran. So does it give him automatic right to intervene in Kheda? This question was being raised by the power structure there. Now, the English, how the English press controlled by the, say, the colonial behavior, interpreting it, how it was seeing it. The Englishman, in 26th April 1980, published a report. It was titled Champaran Tactics Against the Government. Title of the report was Champaran Tactics Against Government. Now, this correlation between the two was well captured by Pratap, the newspaper which widely covered Champaran Satyagraha, and even the pre-Champaran issues. Started in 1913, I suppose. And from that, Champaran was a regular theme in Kheda. And there were local correspondents also who were feeding it about the Champaran problem since 1930. And after coming to Gandhi, obviously, it was more vociferous. Now, I would like to draw your attention to the headline, to the title, what Pratap wrote about Kheda Satyagraha. महात्मा गांधी ने दूसरा पड़ाव भी मार दिया। I repeat, महात्मा गांधी ने दूसरा पड़ाव भी मार दिया। Resemble somewhat, that Gandhi has won the second fort, captured the second fort. First fort was Champaran, second fort is Kheda. I think time is running out. I think within the time constraint, I have tried to touch all the three aspects, which have not been, in fact, even due importance in the historiography of Champaran. This I must underline. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.